Hi, I'm Julian, and this is the WLB podcast.
Today, I'm thrilled to have with us Aditi Dimri, the co founder of Cranberry. She did a PhD in economics, but Cranberry is a company focusing on women's health and it uses generative AI. I know, right? It's a perfect mix of all worlds. Aditi's co founder is another woman, oh yeah, Saraswati Chandra, an amazing engineer from Bangalore who is the tech brains behind this product. And it's not just another period tracking app, mind you. It is Gen AI, something I'm learning more about every day at work. But it's completely guardrailed to answer your questions from a knowledge base that's built by medical experts. It ensures you build the right habits to change your lifestyle and gain more clarity about your own body. We will dive deep into what motivated Aditi to start this, what challenges they faced in building this tech solution, and what the future holds for Cranberry. I hope you enjoy this as much as I did recording it. Welcome.
Thanks so much. I like to be known as Aditi. And These days I'm building Cranberry. So Cranberry is a women's health company where what we're trying to do is help women solve for a lot of the pains they feel, which are not addressed by the healthcare system currently often. And it's often through lifestyle interventions and habits that we try to help them with that. As I was telling you, I'm partly based out of Berlin and Bangalore, so having
Yeah.
fun building country.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Berlin. I think it's really nice to see that there are more organizations actually trying to focus on women's health. I was really happy to see that. And it's very hard to actually see people working on this full time. I was really happy to see you and Soundarya being a part of this. Like you're Saraswati, sorry. Uh, like you're really focused on this and you're going at it from an angle that I really admire, data science and data and so much of research, which is hats off. Thank you so much. So what
Oh, thanks so
motivated you?
much.
Yeah,
Uh,
like
yeah. So, what motivated us? I think it's so Saraswati is my co-founder. She's based out of Bangalore, and so she's an engineer. I'm an economist. It's a good combination. Yeah, and it's great to just to touch upon you said like two female founders and like all our employees right now they really say that oh it's amazing being in a company with two female founders because you're right it is very unusual actually. I don't know the numbers on it, but it's an interesting one to check out most likely. Uh, so I think we're both solving this problem, which is like quite personal to us. So of course, in women's health, also for me personally, it changed quite a lot after my mom got diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And then basically, I got to know that I have a genetic mutation, which makes it much likely that I can have breast cancer, like 50% chances. So these are like mutations now you can get tested for. So after that, basically, I was like, oh my God, I really need to, both understand my body, how hormones affect us, and as well as like the guidelines I got from all the doctors who are like, just try to be really healthy now, kind of, yeah, do the best you can. So I think that led me down the path of like trying to find out just more for myself. And
Mhm.
so I think that was the way I got into quite a lot into it. For Saraswati as well, I think a lot of the pain points were around finding a gynecologist who was giving attention when it was not just around fertility. So
Mhm.
I think that is definitely a huge barrier, at least in India right now. And so I think those were the reasons when we met around 2 years ago now. Like we were both like, okay, we have to work in women's health. And then actually we started like researching more and meeting more people, going to conferences, and it became clear that there is systematically like underfunding and research in women's health.
Mhm.
And now like globally more people are working on it, talking about it. So it's just clearly like a gap in health which has to be addressed. So we are really excited to be dedicating our time to this. Yeah. actually
Yeah.
find ourselves to be in a lucky time to be here doing this.
Yeah, that is so cool. So, I think the fact that medical science can actually see with 50% probability that's who can have what, that is like, whoa. It opens up a lot of areas. Like, there's one part of my brain obviously like freaking out and being like scared, like, oh my God. But then there's other parts like being
Yeah.
amazed at the fact that it's possible. Wow. Okay. That is too much to take in one place. But
Sorry, but no, but I mean, I think I take it like I really love information. But you're right. I mean, so I think we want to take like a lot of information to many women, right? And the key thing is to do it empathetically as well,
yeah.
right? And because health is hard, right? It is a really a word full of baggage and a lot of things. So I think we'll talk more about Coach Berry and everything. So I think like yeah, we
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Just before we go to Coach Berry, I just want to understand. I wanted to touch upon that fact that everyone in India is super focused on the fertility side of things, but not
mm-hmm,
so much on like they just call women, oh, she's gone crazy. It's that time of the month, and
mm-hmm.
instead of worrying about the fact that what can we actually do to balance her diet, or help her in any of these ways, like. I'm married, so I keep hearing that from my husband. With you. So, but it's really hard to come across actual information that is verifiable. It's authentic,
True.
and there's maybe Bia Seeds. That's another company that I found here in US that's trying to actually give us access to those kind of through tidbits of TikTok and Reels. That's the only kind of
Mm-hmm.
information have, but still it seems to make sense. So I would love to. I thank you for bringing that up. That it is still a taboo, but how is it in your place? Like in Berlin, do you find there's a difference geographically? Do people talk about it?
Yeah. A good question. So I would say overall, globally, it is still broadly stigmatized, especially like if you take in work context and things like that, right? So I and in Germany also, it's like and including the US and also now there's like a wave of at least like more cycle syncing apps which are coming out. So
Yeah.
basically, I think like around 10 years ago, we had like period tracking apps. So basically,
Hmm.
we could track our period. So that was okay, really just like tracking period. Now there is a wave of cycle syncing, like living
Yeah.
according to your menstrual cycle. So your like the cycle is more than your period. And that is
Hmm.
overall right now in the world everywhere. So I think that way globally in Berlin, like I know founders who have companies who are trying to destigmatize menstrual health in companies, for example, like, really menstrual well-being at workplace and things like that. So, I
Hmm.
mean, no one was really talking about periods globally, frankly, like 2 years ago, it seems like. And in India, of course, it is much more stigmatized. You're totally right. But actually, we've just started doing like workshop in companies on women's health in particular. Yeah, it's it's really been amazing, and we're really like people talk a lot about like
Hmm.
women are talking a lot to us about their menstrual health. Actually, uh, I mean, a lot of the women we are interacting with are, I would say, between like 25 to 40.
Hmm.
Maybe I think there's more openness. Maybe on Instagram, social media, they're generally, yeah. So,
Okay, okay, that's nice. I mean, at least if that conversation is happening, I'm glad to hear that. So, tell me about all about Cranberry. Like, why Cranberry Fit? Why that name? And there's so much on your website, but I want to hear it from you directly. You know.
sure. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, we're called Cranberry. We call Cranberry actually, and we call Cranberry because of like quite a few reasons. So, one of them is that cranberries always come in a bunch. And
Mhm.
for us, like, even though we're like a company which is very like data first and AI based, for us, a huge thesis is also women being together.
Mhm.
And actually, because we think that that is really what will make a lot of difference in like both changing behaviors and ending like isolation and like more through peer learning and peer sharing. So yeah, that's why we were really excited about cranberries being in bunch, and then they are red. So, of course, like a strong statement for menstrual health. And then, thirdly, often doctors prescribe cranberries for UTIs, so urinary tract infections. And
Okay.
so we thought that's a good connection to women's health. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think
Nice.
so. That's why cranberry. Yeah, and I think we have like a fit as our, so our website is cranberry.fit, and I think fit because that's the vision of where we want us to go. Yeah.
Okay, okay, nice. So is Coach Berry, can you talk more about before we dive into it, like what does Cranberry Fit offer to is it like a B2C company? Is what does it offer to consumers? Do I just log in? What do I get? And things like that.
Yeah, sure. So we are a totally B2C company right now. So our main product is a health coach. So that's
Mhm.
Coach Berry. So basically, right now, Coach Berry is on WhatsApp. So you can easily go to our website and start chatting with Coach Berry. So the main like problem thesis we are working on is like help women improve a lot of the pain symptoms we feel. So starting with in particular period pain and PMS, so premenstrual syndrome, like a lot of the energy, mood symptoms we feel before our periods. So that is
Mhm.
like right now what Coach Berry is ready to handle. And so yeah, if basically I go and I start chatting with Coach Berry, so she will ask me a few things about how I feel during and before my period and the severity of symptoms. And based on that, Coach Berry basically recommends one healthy habits I can call. So these are nutritional habits, exercise, mental health habits. And then
Mhm.
over time, she will also help you form these habits actually. And
Wow.
then when I am in a pain at a moment, for example,
Mhm.
I am feeling cramps and I go to Coach Berry, also get remedies on how to just solve it that time. So yeah, these are
Mhm.
like the main two things that are offered. And then yeah, there's also, of course, you can track your period, and there's a lot of things around body awareness, which also Coach Berry helps you
Mhm.
with. Yeah.
Nice. So, like, is it integrated within WhatsApp, and I don't need to install any other app? Like, I can just do it as a
Yeah.
phone, and it's all programmed. That's nice. Like, whoever engineers who are behind this, great thinking that I don't have to install a new
Uh,
app.
it's a like mostly Saraswati and partly me. So
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
that is all.
yeah, I mean these days like no code tools are so amazing that we are able to build so much. Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice.
No,
So,
but that's totally right. Like it's so much easier to on WhatsApp, right? We check it all the time, and
no, Siri knows. Like, I've been checking WhatsApp so much.
yeah.
So. So whose idea was it, like to call it Coach Berry? Like I thought it was a he, but it is like it sounds similar to Coach Barry, but then okay, I would like to hear.
Ah, that's interesting. Actually, like we haven't had like a very big discussion on the gender of Coach Berry. So, I mean, most likely it will end up being a they too. Yeah. Uh, so frankly, so that there's an interesting story behind this. So we've been doing like small pilots with a lot of different users since almost a year now. Trying to really get towards product market fit, and lot of our like let's call what in startups are called super users, like women
Mhm.
who were using versions of our products very often. And actually, I would say more than that, they are also very passionate about women's health overall
Yeah.
and like share our vision of the world for women's health.
Mhm.
We have a WhatsApp group with them. We call it co-building Cranberry. And so a lot of times when we have like product decisions or I think what is the gender of Coach Berry, we'll also discuss that. Like they give us ideas. So actually
Mhm.
the name Coach Berry came from them. So
Nice.
yes, yeah. So from our users and in a way they're more than, yeah, there are supporters as well. So yeah, that's really good. I think Saraswati and I were not gonna go for Coach Berry, and then it was so unanimous that everyone wanted Coach Berry. We were like, okay,
Oh, that is a nice thing. So the community is, or the users of this app are you're getting direct feedback from them, and they get a voice in that. That is so cool. Like I don't think anybody else does that. That is so cool. So how did you get the first word out? Like, was it via campaigns of your own friends and family? how did the word get out first? Like, what were your first users like?
Yeah, I think first users were definitely friends and family, maybe friends of friends level.
Mm-hmm.
We started in July 2022 with our like first 20 users, and they were all like from our own network. Yeah, and now we have the live product actually, where anyone can go on our website and then chat with Coach Berry on WhatsApp. So then slowly, I think like initially we always wanted to get to women ourselves, right? So
Mm-hmm.
not like more in person ways, because we often then get to talk to these women, and that's really rich, right? So we really understand them more to be able to build better. So that's why, as I was saying, we started doing workshops in companies. So the workshop is purely on women's health.
Yeah.
Nothing really to do with per se Cranberry or the product.
Mhm.
But yeah, through that, then women often like then come to Cranberry. So that's nice. And yeah, that's the way we've been going more. I
Okay.
think.
So how do you get the data from those chats? And okay, the company data, I can understand that if you have had a workshop, then they click on this directly. But
Mm.
does your company also have cloud instances and then use that data directly, or does WhatsApp store it all for you?
So basically, we use a tool, uh,
Mm-hmm.
which basically, like say, I go on Coach Berry and I enter a symptom, right? Like I'm feeling, my energy is feeling like low today or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that data is basically, we can pull it into Google Sheets, which is our database.
Okay.
And that happens through the tool we use right now, which is like a chatbot tool, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So
Hmm. That's
actually,
nice.
everything from WhatsApp, like, yeah, ends up in our database. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Because then I think when I signed up for it, I also had seen it is a chat with business. So then I had to go and accept those some terms and conditions. So that's why I
Hmm.
was just going through that. Like me being a person from this field, I kind of was more intrigued in that sense. But it's nice to know that you have a tool to do that. To pull in that data. Can you also talk to me about more about what research you mentioned that you're an economist? So when you have this data, like how do you go about getting those trends and figuring out, okay, this is the kind of user you have, the user behavioral.
Hmm.
I think you also mentioned that there's a lot of behavioral science to this. Could you break it down for people who don't know what behavioral science is as well?
Yeah. So yeah, I think we use the data basically in two ways. So one is like just individual's data by themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
that in itself is really rich. Like let's say even if like my 2 cycles data is with Coach Berry, so right, it's like how I feel as well as some like how old I am, so some other data like that. So one we just like analyze that also. So
Mm-hmm.
often, like right now, because the product is quite around period and PMS, it is often like patterns of how you feel throughout your cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of we analyze like do you feel low energies on particular day. So basically, then we preventatively already nudge you. So for me, like the pattern is I feel bloated like often after my ovulation and when I'm in my luteal phase, for example. So then Coach Berry will be preemptively telling me that, hey, you often feel like this. So like try to go light on the salt today or to hydrate like this. So
Oh.
really like that is like the vision we have at the individual level. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of things happening preventatively. Uh, and then, of course, at the aggregate level of the user data, yeah, one of the first use cases we are doing is like building better period prediction as well as
Mm-hmm.
like or the prediction of the symptoms, which like given the user's data, we are able to do that as we grow more. So based
Mm-hmm.
on that, like actually based on your characteristics and your lifestyle and stress and everything, we could be able to be like predicting beforehand how you might feel actually, and again like doing things more preventatively. So I think really that is the idea.
Oh,
Yeah, I've spoken more about data than behavior science, but I will also speak about it. Maybe. Yeah,
it's nice. So that data actually helps, like, go low on salt today. That is a really cool thing, because and then maybe I can avoid having a wrap. Instead, I would have a bowl so that I'm not taking in more sodium, for that day.
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
really cool. Okay, okay, that is nice. And what about ages, like age group wise? Do you have like for a specific age group? Because I'm sure my mom has very different symptoms versus me, but all both of us have like crazy mood swings somewhere around that place. Is there a way that you also slice it into ages, that data, and then
Yeah.
have different?
Yeah. I That's a great point. So like I think women's health is really age dependent.
Mhm.
Cause and I think that's because hormones in particular estrogen is going down over time. So and the cycle is like changing a lot. So yeah, we basically so Coach Berry one again at the individual level. Coach Berry the vision is and like in a month or something he'll be personalizing a lot more to your own data, right? So the point is like say if I am like 36 and as I basically so if someone 36 has like some changes in their cycle basically
Mhm.
like more heavy bleeding or something versus like someone who's 21 often it is for a different reason, right? Or so Coach Berry will be able to personalize to like your data like that, right? Given you and age is like one of the first things you totally picked out correctly we are working on because it is
Mhm.
just such a huge determinant of how you feel basically.
Mhm.
Yeah, and of course you're totally right. At like the more aggregate level, we do analyze all the data by age, and
Mhm.
yeah, there are huge patterns in everything from behavior to symptoms to how people feel.
Nice. So, have you ever implemented anything that personally has come as a recommendation for you via that? Like, have you not gone for a hike and changed my itinerary? Nope, Coach Willie says this.
Yeah, true. I have to say overall, like anyway, personally, like so my periods were always like I would say moderately painful. And since the last 2 years, because I've read about it so much and I know what all has to be done, like, and
Mhm.
I used to always take painkillers, like at least once a month. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, I thought that was okay. And then over time, I'm like, oh my god, like why was I doing that? I could have managed it like just by doing other things. So I think overall it's been a huge change for me in terms of the patterns. Yeah, the luteal phase thing. I think
Mhm.
I used to get bloated, and I used to
Mhm.
always blame it on what I was eating, but not able to find the pattern. And
Mhm.
now it's really like I understand it's always in like a some days that I feel like that. So
Okay.
yeah, I think that
Can you
that's
give an
something.
example? Like, what do you do on a luteal phase? And I think luteal is also, when we keep saying this, I also want to
Hmm.
make everybody understand what these different phases are. So maybe you could, like, break it down for what are the different phases. I know people start from day zero as menstruation, but sometimes it's confusing as well. So I would like to hear it from you as a professional
Great.
as well.
Yeah. No, no, thanks. Good. I actually I should start with that often. Uh, yeah. So the menstrual cycle, basically, the usual menstrual cycle, firstly, can be anything from like 21 days to 36 days. So that's
Okay.
like commonly the length. I mean, it's not always 28 days or 30 days. Like, yeah, yeah, exactly. And people's lengths change a bit, and also that all is like quite expected. And then basically, uh, let's say day one is your first day of your period. That's, as you said, commonly how it's defined. So period can last again anything from 2 to 7 days for people, and so that's basically the period phase. And after that, what happens is so your uterus sinus has gone out, and now basically the follicle, which is going to turn into the egg, is released after your period ends, and that's why it's called the follicular phase because the
Mhm.
follicle has been released. And now there's so basically that is the phase which is so like there's actually a good way around the seasons of the year. This is also defined by so the period is called the winter phase. Mhm. And then
Yeah.
the follicular phase is called the spring phase. right? Because like the egg is coming out, there's like, and it's the phase where often women have a lot of energy and things like that. And then basically after that, around the mid of the cycle is when ovulation happens. So that's basically the egg is now being released. And sometimes people call those 2-3 days like the ovulation phase. Um, so, and around that time, libido, of course, can be high. The vaginal discharge is a bit more. Basically, your body is really preparing you for pregnancy, right? So, I mean, actually, the cervix actually moves down. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. Like, yeah. And so that's the ovulation phase. And after that, basically starts the luteal phase. So in luteal phase, what is happening now is that the body initially assumes, Aditi, you're pregnant each time. So basically the progesterone starts going up, and that's the reason we feel like different changes in our body, right? Like some people feel craving, some people feel mood swings, and that's the reason. Like, so if I was actually pregnant, the progesterone would keep going higher and higher, and like some people have morning sickness and more cravings and things like that, right? But so the luteal phase is often like the second half of the cycle, and the first half is follicular phase, basically. Yeah, and in Cranberry we also add like a premenstrual phase. So because basically before the period, like, so what's beautiful about the cycle is also that it's very different for each woman or each person who menstruates. So for some people, they can feel 2 days of PMS symptoms, but some can feel for 2 weeks actually, right? So yeah, so basically in Cranberry, we have that premenstrual phase, basically where these symptoms are a bit more intense. Yeah, so that's the cycle. Yeah, it's 4 phases.
So you mentioned winter as menstrual, the week of menstruation. Then comes spring as the next phase, follicular phase, and then there is summer as ovulation.
Summer. Yeah. No, so summer is a luteal actually. Like ovulation is sometimes called a phase, often not called a phase.
Oh, okay. And then comes fall, autumn, PMS.
Yeah, so in Cranberry we call that the premenstrual phase. Yeah.
Okay. But the season
a bit windy, a bit up and down. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So on that front, like when it comes to luteal phase, I think that is the hardest time when it's windy and we ourselves don't understand what's going on, and this sudden emotion burst and all of that. Like, what has worked for you as a person versus what have you seen your users like after having used Coachberry?
So I think so two quite major things which have helped is like, one is like we recommended higher vitamin B6 to our users who had like moderate to severe PMS. So that's one of the interventions which has the highest evidence for efficacy. And that actually has helped a lot of our members. So I think, so yeah, we have this thing where if someone has severe symptoms, we recommend a supplement to them. But then we also start like nutrition with them, like foods which are higher in that, because the idea is in hopefully 2 cycles, 3 cycles, you will be stopping the supplement and just getting it through your nutrition. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's one of the interventions which has like really high efficacy. And then personally for me, frankly, it was like because for me also like more closer to the period days are troublesome. So actually like eating and behaving a bit more healthier in the luteal phase actually affects your PMS and period days a lot. So I actually consciously now like try to do some exercise, make sure in my luteal phase I try to like eat a bit healthier, kind of like eat a bit of less like fried and stuff, eat more complex carbs and things like that. And that I think it has helped me a lot.
So that actually works. Like, that is nice to hear. Yeah, last month I think I tried going for classical dances, and because I was like I had done as a kid, and I was like, okay, let me relearn this because I have forgotten everything. But just doing the first, the first few classical steps made me realize that I didn't have a migraine. last month I didn't have the normal hormonal headache that I usually take a
Mm-hmm.
leave for the day. Like I can't work on those days. But that just didn't happen. I was like, okay, where did that go? Like,
Amazing. Yeah,
so
amazing. Yeah, I think you're totally right. All these menstrual and hormonal symptoms are affected by everything lifestyle.
mm.
So you should definitely continue with the dance. That sounds amazing.
Like any kind of activity, I think that's what has something that I've noticed. Like some months when I'm normally really stressed is like, oh my
Hmm.
god, it would kill me. I've gone to the hospital how many times, just to get a paracetamol injection because it just takes too long for the medicine to take effect. They're like, please put it into my bloodstream right now.
Yeah, I mean, hormonal headaches, migraines can be like really bad. Yeah, that's gonna be the next symptom actually we're working on. Uh,
Okay,
yeah, so
nice.
yeah,
So
it affects a lot of women for sure.
yeah. And so normally apps tell, like, always give me a warning saying that, we are not doctors. Always refer to a doctor. But does your app actually, because I think you have a huge team behind this already. So you are able to prescribe things that are medically suited for every user. Is that how it works?
Yeah, very good question. So we are like a lifestyle product.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, so we are not a medical product. So, but I can tell you about our medical approach. Like we still have a medical approach to that. So basically, let's say we are doing PMS, right? So how we approach that is that you're totally right. We have like actually we have doctors on our team, even though we are like a lifestyle company. Yeah, yeah. I think our first hires are have been doctors, which has been amazing, and we work a lot with external doctors as well. So the idea is we build basically medical protocols. So these
Mm-hmm.
are first what we do is like we do all the research ourselves on looking at guidelines and published papers. So for example, for PMS, like as I was saying, vitamin B6, so we look at all the evidence. We have a whole ranking criteria and all, and we figure out actually what is good evidence, what is likely to be effective. And then we have an expert panel of doctors who looks at it, five doctors, and like verify it and add things to it or improve it, right? So that is our like procedure. And amongst the protocols also, we have a set of protocols, what are called screening protocols. So for example, like if someone comes to us with a hormonal headache, first we will screen them for that this is not an emergency. And this is
Okay.
something that can be handled by lifestyle interventions right now, right? Because that's really important for medical safety for us. Of course, being a lifestyle company, we could not have any of the liability and say that, yeah,
Hmm.
it's not wrong. Yeah, this is the amount of safety we think we can do for sure. And we do that. And then basically, uh, apart from that, we also have exclusion criteria. So, for example, like if someone is pregnant, like maybe because we might have some interventions which might interfere with their conditions. So we basically like uh, clearly tell those people that, oh, maybe this is not the appropriate thing, or this is a digitally led solution, right? So, and then the final thing we have is like, let's say I start building a habit with Coach Berry, like the vitamin B6 one. And so then Coach Berry like keeps tracking how I'm feeling, like the symptom progression over weeks. And then we have escalation protocols. So basically, if
Hmm.
my symptom has not improved or
Hmm.
basically staying the same, then we escalate to a doctor. Right now, meaning that we say that, okay, maybe your risk could be like this, so it would be better if you actually see a specialist. And yeah,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
guiding
nice.
them towards the right specialist. And yeah, so in terms of medical safety, we do this working with doctors. So do yeah, also because also a lot of the idea is to lead women to the right resource in the
Yeah, yeah.
quickest possible time. Uh,
Yeah. I think the entire area is like a huge black box for a lot of us, and it's great to see that you have that stage wise approach, like emergency or not, pregnant or not, and then a lifestyle, and then tracking whether it's effective or not. So you're also doing a preemptive thing as well as making sure that you don't leave with an advice, like, okay, maybe you could do this, but you're also making sure that you're sticking with the person all throughout the journey, and then making sure that's actually effective advice or not. That is really cool. That is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's the promise we want to make women. And
Yeah.
yeah, and deliver on it. So yeah, I think that's what Saraswati and I want. So I think that's the reason. Yeah, I think. I mean, I just don't want to know that, oh, take this supplement, and then I have no idea how to go about it, right? Because you're like, what? Yeah.
That's nice. So it's like when I said it was a black box, like sometimes people think that, oh, maternity clinics is all that is there, and everything is gynecological. I think even within that, you have so many specialists who know a lot more about one particular area versus another, and whom do I actually go and see? Like, how do I find? So, do you also help people find the right doctors for this? Like, is there a catalog that I can say that, I have these problems. This is what Coach Berry has given me a report card, maybe, and then
Mhm.
which doctor in my area do I see?
Uh, yeah. I think the vision is definitely, yeah, we'll be providing something like that as well. For now,
Mhm.
we are trying to become really good at more the lifestyle part of it. So like habit building and in those things basically. And because we know, at least in the Indian context, like connecting to the doctor's part has been understood and solved quite a lot. Uh,
Yeah. Hmm.
like through telehealth or through like different kind of models now, or like hybrid or so yeah. So I think for now we are basically focusing more on the lifestyle part. And you're right, but we would say something like that. You could say like someone with more emotional symptoms of PMS. So like
Hmm.
around 10 to 15 women have PMDD, which is a more severe form of PMS,
Okay.
where at some point of time they should actually go to a more specialized gynecologist or even a psychiatrist. Uh,
Mhm.
so basically, if we see someone is like in that risk category, we would actually nudge them or share this really information with them more, for now at least. Yeah.
Oh, nice. That is good to know. And I think I didn't know about the telehealth part. Like that might make sense when you're trying to do that product market fit. It helps to understand like where are your users. Are most of your users based out of India? Is that your
Yeah. Right
okay?
now, everyone's based out of India. Mhm.
Okay, okay, okay. I signed up, so maybe you'll have one Canadian there.
Oh, true. Actually, yeah, that's a good point.
Okay. So, what has your team like? I think I really liked seeing the website having there's a sports person as well, there's a medical person as well, and you mentioned there are so many doctors there. Like, how do you go about on a day-to-day basis? Can you like describe what does it in the inside of behind the scenes of Cranberry Fit? Like, what do you do? Who comes up with all of these? Let's do this.
I mean, I have to say the best ideas come from the users. Like, really, yeah. I think like yeah, they have the best ideas. I mean, of course, that's why we created the group WhatsApp group with them. Uh,
Mhm.
so yeah, we're a totally remote team.
Mhm.
Right now, we're a totally female team. uh, yeah, I mean, and so basically, in the mornings, we start by having what's called a team stand up, where all of us meet on a call and we like say what we're doing, because we're a small team and we really need to prioritize because we want to move fast, of course. And then Saraswati and me, like we work on everything right now because
Oh.
we are like yeah, such initial stage. So of course, like our skill sets are like quite different. She's like a digital product person, and I
Mhm.
come more from like data, behavioral science, and research background. But
Mhm.
frankly, right now we both work on everything
Mhm.
together.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, and then so we have like a health team where we have like doctors and basically people who actually done masters in neuroscience and dentists, and yeah, and then we often have like coaches who work like actually freelance with us.
Mhm.
So both fitness coaches as well as nutritionists. we found the ones who really love research and very evidence-based things. So yeah, I think we love working with the health team. So that's like the biggest team right now, and yeah, and then all the other teams also, but like interact on, like we have every 2 weeks a health session given by
Mhm.
one of the doctors of our team on a women's health topic. So last week we did endometriosis, and next week we have vaginal discharge coming up. Yeah.
Wow. That is nice. I think that educational part of thing is like it's going hand along with your product development. That's super helpful because I remember actually seeing a problem with endometriosis specifically. People in Canada couldn't
Mm-hmm.
do that, get that surgery done, and they had a lot of people had gone to Romania to get that done because we don't get doctors
Oh my
here.
God.
They have to wait for 2 years, and it's super risky to wait that long, you know. So I am glad you're doing that. So do you do this as webinars, or is it like a conference event that people show up in person, or is it online?
That's, I mean, right now it's only internally for our team, but maybe we
Oh.
should open it up. Yeah, because we really also have to like
Mhm.
educate ourselves, right, of all the things. I mean, both in terms of like product, what we should like add in next and work on next, but also to, yeah, I think of course Saraswati and I are obsessed with everything women's health now and the whole problem statement. So, uh,
Mm. I
yeah,
think
and it's
your
amazing
team,
having doctors on the team. Yeah.
yeah, I think your team is like the most qualified team I've ever seen in a startup. Like everybody is a doctor or a master's, or that's like so cool. It's full data analysis and data related things are happening. That's so cool.
Yeah, I think it's true. I think it's a team which loves learning for sure. I think so. Yeah.
That is nice. And what is the like when it comes to apps? Have you gone through any like have teenagers use it in ways that you didn't expect it to be used? Like with generative AI, I feel there's a lot of there was a I think it was added to Snapchat, and the use case was like somebody was trying to actually test its limits in can it be used in a harmful way, and a
Mhm.
kid was asking saying that I'm just 13 years old. I want to go to a secluded place with a 40-year-old person, things like that. Like that was the scenario painted, and the AI came up with ideas. Maybe you could
Mhm.
take music, maybe you could take that. So, how do you test for the different ways that the app can be misused? Like, do you have a team doing that?
Yeah, good question. So I think in terms of the generative AI, like the main safeguard we put is that it is supposed to answer questions which are only around menstrual health,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a bit on the women's health part sometimes, but so if you would ask it questions like, oh, even if you would ask like like who's the president of India, it should not technically. So basically, the idea is that it has a knowledge base and it should supposed to answer only from there.
Okay.
And So one that is like a big, so in AI world, it's called hallucination, because
Yeah.
generative AI, you're totally right, is like it will answer always, even if it doesn't know, right? So to stop that
Include.
hallucination, yeah, the solution is to just, especially for use cases like health, where safety is so important, you just basically give it a knowledge base and say you have to answer from there only. And there are models basically which are called like retrieval models, and we are building those where, so
Mhm.
that's a great way. Second layer would still be, as you're correctly saying, is both the medical accuracy will be solved a lot by this, but things like, so we've not had like a very young people on our platform, but for sure, even like with the users we've had now, because it's around PMS, and I think yeah, mental health is a huge part of conversation, which is good these days. So of course, people talk about mental health with Cranberry sometimes, or something around that. So I think there definitely we are trying to build in more safeguards, as you're saying, uh, around how like when Coach Berry has to stop the conversation, and basically, so we, for like some cases we have said like she basically gives back some resources and things like that instead of answering yourself. And all of
Mm,
these, again, we can solve by the knowledge based approach. That basically,
mm,
if there is like a triggering question like this, you
mm,
have to answer this, that these are the resources, or I can escalate to this person,
mm.
instead of, yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, so I think because our use case is not like a use case where we need the AI to be very creative, right? Because
Mm,
we don't want the AI to write poetry for people or things like that.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think somehow in like health use case, you can try to make it more restrictive because it doesn't need to be very glamorous, but more people want information that is medical correct. So, yeah.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. So has there been any other challenge? Like, thank you for mentioning that safeguard is in place, that makes people trust the platform even more. But has there been any other challenge that you've faced with respect to the kind of like it's like building models and then basing it out of accurate information? What other challenges have you faced in building that? Because I would love to hear it from a product person itself. What does it take to integrate so much data?
Uh, yeah, I think challenges like uh, I would say like we took some time to figure out this how to stop the hallucination, but then
Mhm,
I think we have a lot of like really good AI mentors who help us. So
mhm.
uh, basically, yeah, because I think the field is so fast moving. And yeah, we are also building so fast that they've helped us. I think now we're at the stage where so I think we really think the big value add for our members and all women is when the generative AI is layered with people's personal data, right?
Mhm,
So if I come and say that, hey, Coach Berry, I'm feeling really bloated,
mhm,
why is that happening? What can I do? Like Coach Berry should be able to have the data that Aditi is 36-year old. She's on day 17 of her cycle, all those contextual information, and then answer it.
mhm,
Basically, oh, Aditi, maybe you have bloating often in this time. You can try to do this, but if it persists for 2 more days, then let's do this, right? So I think so. Basically, now we're trying to add the layer of personal data to that, and so yeah,
mhm,
I think that's currently the challenge we are at.
mhm,
Definitely a solvable one, but that's where we think this is like 100x of just googling something, right? So yeah.
mhm, mhm. Okay, so uh, is it actually that you're using GPT 3.5 right now, or is it your own inbuilt models? Like,
So no, we use OpenAI, so GPT 3.5. Yeah.
oh, nice, nice. So, but then you've got pretty strong directives, like directive as in the way it should respond to it. Like only if it like have you had any of those samples where people just are feeling suicidal, or some random just words like I'm horny, or I don't know, people could you type in whatever words that they need, but what comes, have you had to go through like this is going to break our directive or the basic
Hmm.
I don't know, guideline that you have for the app?
Yeah.
Have you ever
Yeah.
faced that?
Yeah, so basically, right now, how it happens, our like let's say this whole evaluation of how the AI is like performing in terms of medical safety and
Mhm.
guardrails is our doctors basically look at all the conversations. Like actually, we have like a database, and the doctors actually rate the answer and write their own answer as well.
Oh,
So
okay, that's
yeah, so that's like the way to like train it to be better. uh,
mm,
and we actually are quite surprised that the answers are already like quite good. I mean, they could be better in terms of actually being shorter and maybe and actually mostly being more personalized and relevant. uh, uh, yeah, so one that is our evaluation framework.
mhm.
Given we are at quite a early stage and all, we really think we can do this, and this is also like, I mean, I hope is the industry standard, but at least like our mentors have taken us towards this, which yeah, we really like. And then, but in terms of has anything broken it? That's a good question. We've had, I think, like some mentions of not suicidal, but like say like I feel like very low in my PMS, or I think there was one where it was like, why do I always think about my ex during my PMS? Like more tending towards those things where, where we kind of flag them, and we are basically, as these are coming up, we are building the guardrails around them. So yeah,
Mm.
that's
I think it's like a learning in progress. Like, it's like a journey. You understand what works and what doesn't work. And it's I think with health you have to be like so careful, as well as it's like a eye opener at the same time. That's nice to know. So are there any plans that you have to expand Cranberry? Like, I think you did mention about maybe you'll have more webinars for people outside as well, or you've also started with the corporate sessions, but in the community aspect, do you feel the Cranberry Fit is going to actually expand further, global community or beyond India?
wow. So I think at least in the short run, meaning like next like 6 to 8 months, we'll be focusing on India. I think, yeah, I think that's so basically also like one of our major theses is that we are creating also like a knowledge base.
Mm.
Right now we have like a couple of blogs out, but we'll be making like video content as well, because we've seen there's like a huge gap in India to get good information. So like if you actually Google in India, you go to all US websites and stuff. And yeah, and a lot of these things are like quite specific to the place, right? And the context and the culture. So I think we're definitely, it's a big part of our vision to create this like medically verified and empathetic women's
Mm.
health content for India. Uh, yeah, I think that's like really like needed. And I think, yeah, and it's growing definitely more. And but I think there is a lot of space for people to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, and good point on community. So we're basically, yeah, we of course have our users community, but we're also like building out our Instagram page, and then yeah, the idea is like most likely we launch our YouTube channel also, through which like actually we again want to do much more like just like women's own stories and content as well, because we feel like they should be at the center of everything much more, because I think they have a lot more interesting things to say. And so, yeah, I think that's how we'll be building out the community.
That's nice. I think that content is definitely very different versus North America versus India, and in India itself, we have so many myths like don't touch
Hmm.
achar or pickle during this time, and
True.
this is, you have to begin at the grassroots level to break all of those myths. But thank you so much for actually starting this, because I think this new generation has a lot of access to data, but again, finding out what is actually true versus believing your grandmother, you know,
Yeah.
that that is definitely a thing that they will have to fight, and uh, take no one's word for it. Maybe find out for yourself.
Yeah. No, I think myths is there. That's a great point, because they get so ingrained sometimes, right? That I think, yeah, you don't even notice it. I think like, yeah, we all, yeah, I think, I don't know what's my, so earlier, like, I think I used to have like the whole not exercising during period thing. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, it gets so ingrained that you don't even think about it. And now apparently you can if you feel okay. Like, yeah, so, oh,
true.
okay. Yeah.
Maybe it's our lifestyle that has changed so much that is making us do this. But it is actually pretty reason that I've also figured out, if you feel okay, you can actually work out. Maybe I'm just lazy, like, that is actually
No, but
been.
I think that way health is like so personal, right? It's like, I mean, there are general like all the phases we discussed. That's like, yeah, okay, broadly how people are supposed to feel, but like how each one of us still feels is like quite different. And I think,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, that's why Coach Berry is also a lot about like our idea is really like women know their bodies actually best, and Coach Berry just uses their data and their patterns to support them through that. Because yeah, I think that's the.
So besides working out and not having oily food, like if you were to just end this with one thing that all women should just take in as a takeaway, would it be having more cranberries in their diet?
That's a very good question, and I that's a great slogan. It should just be like have more cranberry. uh, what is the one? I think one thing that's I think over time, both personally at a like a health system level, I've understood is that it's really important to understand your body, and if I might be more specific in terms of like articulation of symptoms, to
Hmm.
like understand like what how you're feeling and like the changes in them, right, and the
Mhm.
severity of them and those things, because that's really important. And as women there are a lot of like biases we've got in, like we underestimate our pains, often we underreport them. I mean, healthcare systems are more likely to dismiss that. It's all been documented. So I and that, but that's like super important to,
Mhm.
because only if you like understand that you'll be able to take even action on it. And
Mhm.
yeah, I think, and that we think like tech and data is a great use case of that to
Mhm.
allow people to do that. And I think that's really like the core of our product. And yeah, but as a takeaway, just yeah, know
I
how you
think I'm
feel.
have your own journals. That's really a good point. Like I think we don't talk about our own, what we're going through. And I've gone through that stat that says we 6 times, I think we suffer 6 times more pain, or we get the epidural even if we are going through a heart attack uh, late. Like nobody gives us the the painkiller,
Hmm.
and they say, "Yeah, you're just having a heartburn," when it's actually a heart attack.
Yeah, I think there's now like a lot of documentation of it, and actually it's called the gender pain gap.
Pain gap, yes. Oh my God,
Yeah.
how many more gaps? There's a pay gap.
True. There's a pay gap, there's a pain gap, there's uh, yeah, and I think I don't know. I just know like women more in India, like especially older women. I think there's definitely where like I feel my mom or my aunts and all really underestimate, or their tolerance is so high that they
Yeah.
won't like. Uh, yeah, so
My
yeah.
mom, I have zero tolerance for pain. Like, somebody even pinches me, I have zero tolerance.
I think you just like understand your body really well. That's good.
Could be the reason. But I think the more you talk about things like this, even when it comes to using a menstrual cup and writing about these things, people just don't
Hmm.
share their experiences, and it's also like a community part of things. So I really love that the idea behind calling it a cranberry, that it comes in a bunch. I think more conversations, and the more we share our experiences, it's really dry. Use a cup. Don't use this. Like have those conversations, talk more about it. That's super helpful. I'm looking forward to the way Cranberry is going to be evolving over the coming years, and I'm wishing you all a really huge success. Hope you all go global and actually change lives. Like this is so cool.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, amazing. Like great talking to you. I think I've got a lot of new ideas as well. Yeah.
I'm going to join that group soon, and I'll be sharing all of those ideas there as well.
You'd be like, I'm a super user from Canada. I was like, yeah, okay.
For sure, for sure. Thank you so much for your time.